Hey everybody, I'm Adalina East, founder of Transformational Healing. Today we are going to talk about how to invest in your life purpose. First of all, what is your life purpose? What does it mean to have purpose? For me, having purpose has always meant to wake up in the morning and feel like I have something incredible to do, incredible to share, something that the world needs and that I am uniquely positioned to provide with Source and all of my guides. So today I want to share with you my 5 top tips for figuring out what that life purpose is for you. As most of you know, I had to go through it in a very different and somewhat painful way. But what I love to do when I work with people is help them figure this out so that you don't have to go through all of that pain. You don't have to go through a bunch of different trials and things that make you feel ick on the inside. So let's talk about the first way that I've found really helpful when I work with clients of figuring out your life purpose. I'm going to link to a bunch of things below, so don't worry about writing things down as we do this process, okay? Just listen and kind of absorb and think about it. So the first thing that I find is really helpful with people is to look at their astrology. I am not an astrologer. I love it, but it takes years and years of study to be really great at it. And I love to be really great at things. So I'm going to share with you the few things that I know work. So the first thing you can look at in your chart, if you don't know your chart or if you don't have it pulled up in front of you, you can always go to various different sites to get it. So what I found is an easy way for novices in astrology like me is to go to Cafe Astrology and pull up a natal chart or birth chart. You enter in your details there and you can find out where your north node is by looking at that whole sheet. So it will give you maybe like 3 pages of material and you look up where your north node is. And that will be the first thing to give you insights. The cool thing about that site too is that they give you a lot of information underneath. So you look at your chart, it's this big circle, and for those of you who've never done it before, it looks just like a bunch of gobbledygook. But as you scroll down, you can read. So scroll down and read where your north node is. Is it in the 1st house, the 12th house? All of that information is there. And then you can sort of see what your natural bent is towards. Our north node is where we're going in this lifetime. And our north node is, or our south node is where we've been in the past. So I'm going to give you an example just to kind of lay it all out. My north node is in Virgo. Virgo is a sign known for systems, for building different things that make everyday life easier. So when I saw that my north node was in Virgo, therapist was on the list, herbalist was on the list, but there were also things like being an organizer, doing things like that, which I used to do in my first career with the United Nations, organizing community events and those types of things. So from there, I could sort of see like, okay, so one of my natural gifts is in working with people and in building systems. And the system of transformational healing that I created is a system to help you overcome trauma and step into your gifts. So that worked really well for me. The second thing that you can look at is where your south node is. So your south node is what you've been in the past, or it often even correlates to your past lives. So my south node was in Pisces, which is also a sign about helping people and helping people move ahead, not stay stuck. It's also a very compassionate and empathetic sign. And so from there, I could kind of see, all right, I've got all of those skills under my belt. I've done that in previous lifetimes. How do I want to kind of modernize that and bring it into my future life purpose? And so then I looked at my north node, which was in Virgo, and that told me so much more information. Like my role here is not to just be a therapist, although that's amazing and I loved it for many years, but it's also to build systems, to build a system of doing the best that we can to heal ourselves, to really step into our own authority and to step into our own gifts. So that's an example. The second way that I like to talk about for helping people figure out their life purpose is to look at human design. Again, I'm not a human design reader. It is an incredible tool that I love using with clients. And I know the basics. I'm able to figure certain things out and to do a lot of reading to help that. So if you're not familiar with human design, you can go to mybodygraph.com and again, enter in your details, where you were born, the time you were born, and it will show you certain things about yourself. So I like to just work with the first two things, which is what is your energy type and what is your authority. So energy types can kind of tell us how we work. Like, are you, for example, I'm a manifester. So manifestors create things. They get everybody else on board with a brand new idea that may seem completely out there in the beginning, but actually ends up being something that works. Manifestors also lend their manifestory magic to other people. So from time to time, I will decide I want to put my full weight behind someone and just start really delving into whatever their gifts are and start mentoring them to really move ahead. That's a part of my mentorship program, which you can also check out in the links below. But they're all different energy types. So there are generators who really derive a great deal of energy from doing things that they love. There are manifesting generators who have a million different interests, but one of their life's purposes in this life is to indulge in all of those. And these are often people who have many different businesses happening at once, or maybe they have one single business, but then lots of different hobbies. There are projectors who have this incredible ability of wisdom. I cannot express how grateful I am to projectors. Everyone that I work with is a projector because I need that sort of long game wisdom there to help me do my job. And then there are reflectors who are these amazing souls. They're apparently 1% of the population, and they take in the energy of everything that's around them and amplify it. So for them, it's really important to get into the zone of what they want to do and then make sure that they have positive people around them to help them do it. I think I've hit them all. Manifestor, generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector. Yes, I got them all. I also like to take a look at what people's authority is. How do you make decisions? I'm not going to go too deeply into that because it's very detailed, but we look at how you operate. So, for example, there's something called an emotional authority, which means that you have a lot of emotions about something as it's happening to you. If you're about to make a big decision, you're having a lot of emotions about that. But then you also take your time to make the decision. You don't make the decision based around emotion, which I think is good advice for all of us, right? And there are lots of different types. I'm always happy to talk to you more about those if you would like to work with me one-on-one. Okay, so that's number 2, is to look into your human design. Number 3 is a really fun exercise that I love to do with people. So think about what you were really great at as a child, because this explains so much of your life purpose. What were you so interested in that you just could not stop doing it as a kid? This can get muddy, of course. I know that for some people, they had a great deal of societal conditioning basing what they did on them. I know that for me, I loved to play house because I was raised as a woman. And I, was raised by a mom and a dad who were both heterosexual for a lot of my childhood until I was maybe 10 or 11. So playing house was one way I could kind of copy what the adults were doing. But when I really think back about what I was doing when I was playing house, it was not so much about that. It was manifesting. It was manifesting the future life that I wanted and the kind of house that I wanted and the different things that I was interested in, like being outside and being able to talk to people. So you can kind of look back at what your favorite things to do as a child were, try to parse out the societal conditioning parts of that, and then see what part is left. What was it about those activities as a kid that you really loved? And are they things that you still love today? In working with people, I've seen them actually go back to some of their childhood hobbies that they thought they didn't care about anymore, like riding bikes and things like that, because they realized there was so much joy in that, and it kind of helps you bring that joy back. So think about the things that you did as a kid that you really loved. And now, as a grown-up, think about what you spend time researching. So when I say research, I don't mean sit in a library, go through the microfiches, if you're old enough to remember those. I mean, if you have a 10-minute break in the day, I don't recommend this at all, but if you live in a big city, you probably sit in traffic a lot. As you're sitting in traffic, what are you wishing you could be on your phone researching? What do you want to know more about? When you find yourself with a little bit of extra income and you want to take an online class, what is that class about? Is it tarot reading? Is it herbs? Is it neuroscience? What is your thing? What do you love to research? And so think about that as well. And that will also give you a tip into your life's purpose, because we don't have these interests by chance. None of this is by chance. We weren't born into a certain place by chance. We didn't play certain games as a child by chance, and we don't grow up to be adults that are curious about certain things by chance. These are all gifts from source and little breadcrumbs to kind of lead us on the way to what our life's purpose is. So think about that as well. What do you love to research when you have a few free minutes in a day? And then I think the most important question to answer is, what brings you the greatest joy in your life now as an adult? And when I ask this question, I don't mean things like, I, for example, love to eat popcorn. I love to sit at the beach. I mean, we all have things that we really love to do that may not completely correlate with a life purpose. But we can look behind those things and see what the intention is there. So for me, I love to be near the water because I grew up near the water. It's very peaceful, it's very calming for me. And it has long been a coping mechanism for me. When life gets crazy and there's just too much going on and I have to make a bunch of decisions that I feel are too much, I go to the water and I sit there and I feel really peaceful. So I can deduce from all of that, it's not that I want to be a beach bum or like be a surfer. I'm also 42, so, that's kind of gone and done. Although you can surf at any age, of course, but I'm saying professionally. So me being at the beach, it's not so much that I want to be a surfer girl, it's that I need to feel peace. That's a major value of mine, is to feel peace. And so what other things in my life give me or bring me the most peace? And then you can sit and think about those as well. That can also be a clue in the trail of breadcrumbs to get to what is your life purpose. And then the next thing I want to say is think about your constitution. So I can give you a few examples of this. Our constitution is like our physical makeup, right? And if you look around at your group of friends or your family, you can see certain things about them. Are they really hardy people? Like they're those people who just never get sick? Are they naturally athletic? Do they need a lot of physical movement in their day to feel good? Are they impervious to the sun? Can they stay out in the sun for long periods of time? Can they handle a lot of cold? And think about those types of things because they can also give you little clues to your life purpose. So I'll give you an example of this. I have a somewhat thin constitution. I was like that my whole life. And I really loved ballet as a kid. So I went into ballet and I started really getting obsessive about it. I was practicing like 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm the child of 2 musicians, so that seemed normal in my family. But I did get injured, and I got injured multiple times. And so at a certain point, I had to look at my constitution and be like, yes, I really enjoy ballet dancing, and that would be super fun for me, but my constitution doesn't really support that. I need more downtime. My body needs a little bit more rest. But I also know that I love physical movement and being physical with my body. So what are the other things I can do? And then that took me down a long road. I went into film production and really enjoyed that and loved to be outside and move my body. I was always running around and that was really fun. But then I got injured there as well. And so I again had to look at my constitution and say, okay, what else do I love? And I loved being with people and teaching people and being able to be there for people on the worst day of their lives. And so I went into therapy and worked for the UN and really enjoyed all of that. As I continued to age, my constitution continued to change, as it does for all of us. And I find now that though I love doing humanitarian aid work and counseling people all over the world, that's so much fun. We also have tools to do that now. I can do it here with you. I can do it over Zoom with you. I can do it from the beautiful privacy of my home. And so our life purpose also changes with us as we get older. And so what your life purpose was in your 20s may not feel like what your life purpose is now. If you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, it continues to change with us. And that is all part of our soul growth. It has nothing to do with weakness or a physical manifestation of something else. Often it does actually have something to do with the physical manifestation of something else, and we can always work through that. But it's important to also be kind to ourselves and know that as our life purpose changes, our body will change to support that life purpose as it happens. I've also seen things happen in a completely opposite way, like someone's constitution needed a bit more rest, needed a bit more home and downtime in their 20s. And then after we work together, they heal a bunch of things from their past. They end up getting really well, and they end up becoming marathon runners and going off on wild trips in different places. So it really does depend on who you are and what is left there to heal, and also on your natural bent towards things. Because again, none of this is an accident. You have the constitution that you have for a reason. There is something behind it that is supporting that soul growth at every single phase. So now that you've heard my top tips for figuring out your life purpose, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of journal prompts. Okay. So the first is, we talked about this already in this video, the first journal prompt is, what did you love to do as a kid? And what can you figure out from what you loved to do as a kid that is applicable today? So like my example of playing house, it wasn't about wanting to play house. It wasn't about wanting to stay home and cook a lot. I hate cooking. It was about loving that manifesting, that kind of like building your life, figuring out where you wanted to live, figuring out what kind of life you wanted to have. So think about the things you played as a kid that are still applicable today. Then your next journal prompt is to consider what you love to research now as an adult. What do you spend your time thinking about and learning about? And if you have 10 minutes in traffic, what are you Googling? Let's just be real. People do it. I'm not saying I do. Then your next journal prompt is, what is the thing that you most enjoy now as an adult? And what can you deduce from that? Yes, you love sitting on the beach, but it's not that you want to be a beach bum. What is the feeling? What is the sensation that you have as you sit on that beach? How can you generate that sensation in the form of a life purpose? So as I was saying, for me, it's about peace. Nothing brings me more peace than watching other people learn how to be in their peace, coaching them through the worst days of their lives to get them to the other side and find their peace. And then lastly, what is your constitution? Are you super hardy? Do you love to work outside? Do you love to do things with your hands? Do you love to be inside? Do you love the comforts of home? Journal all of these prompts out, and you can always go back in the video and pause it so that you can write them down and write your answers. And once you have those answers, then move on to video 2, where we will do a special process with the guides to help us get more deeply into what is our life purpose. I just want to say one last thing about life purpose before I go. It doesn't have to be a job. everybody. It really doesn't. Your job can have absolutely nothing to do with what your life purpose is. If it's earning you enough money to feel comfortable and happy and safe to pursue your life purpose in a different way, awesome. I have many clients who do that as well. So let go of that belief that it has to be a job. Like, oh, my life purpose is, making food for people who are in the hospital and bringing it to them. Or my life purpose is that I just absolutely love this particular brand of fitness. Maybe I should start a gym. We don't have to go there yet. Those can be interests that you love, and you can have another job that supports those interests. It never has to be one or the other. So go back in the video a bit, jot down those journal prompts, and go through those and see what answers come to you. And I will see you in video 2, where we will do a special process from the guides to help us get to the bottom of our life purpose.